4 days of voting across the EU's 27 member states sees major gains for the far right. French President Emmanuel Macron calls snap elections after suffering a heavy defeat to the far-right National Rally in the EU elections.
Viktor Orbán's Hungarian right-wing Fidesz party won big at the EU elections but lost major support.
Összegezve az európai parlamenti választás eredményét, ezt egy táviratban tudjuk elküldeni Brüsszelbe, ami így hangzik: migráció stop, gender stop, háború stop, Soros stop, Brüsszel stop.
The Prime Minister's Populist Party received 44% of support at the polls on Sunday, but experienced great losses and was down a whopping 11 percentage points from the 2022 general election results. This is the party's biggest defeat in 18 years. Fidesz's traditional opponents, the Social Democrat and Greens parties, only received 8% of votes and did not meet the threshold for entry into European Parliament. But a new political contender formed a few months ago, titled TISA, garnered a mammoth 29% of support. Party leader Peter Mojor spoke of the groundbreaking results.
Kiderült a mai választáson egyértelműen, hogy a következő országgyűlési választásokon azaz egy, de igen potens kihívója van a NER-nek, az pedig a TISA párt.
As of Monday, 99% of the ballots have been counted.
Ma este a Fidesz lett a legnagyobb győztes és a legnagyobb vesztes is egyben. Egyrészt a legtöbb települést ő tudta elhódítani, ővé lett az összes vármegye, és ő szerezte a legtöbb mandátumot az Európai Parlamentben is. Viszont emellett meg kell jegyezni, hogy rengeteg szavazót veszített, és az EU csatlakozás óta még sohasem ért el ennyire gyenge eredményt az EP-ben. Siposegyi Zoltán, Euronews Budapest.
Far-right parties made major gains in the EU elections on Sunday, dealing stunning defeats to two of the bloc's most important leaders, French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Overall, across the bloc, two mainstream and pro-European groups, the Christian Democrats and the Socialists, remained the dominant forces. The gains of the far right came at the expense of the Greens, who were expected to lose about 20 seats.
Let me start by thanking the European voters who have participated in the European parliamentary elections for their trust. Today is a good day for the European People's Party. We won the European elections. We are by far the strongest party. We are the anchor of stability. And voters recognized our leadership during the last 5 years.
Emmanuel Macron's pro-business Renaissance group also lost big.
It is clear that for us, we are open to a strong cooperation with all democratic forces in this parliament. We have said it at the beginning and we continue saying it.
The 4 days of voting across the EU's 27 member states is the world's second biggest exercise in democracy, behind India's elections. The 2024 European parliamentary elections have had a massive and immediate impact on France's domestic politics. After suffering a heavy defeat to the far-right National Rally, President Emmanuel Macron said he'll dissolve the National Assembly and call snap elections. He announced June the 30th and July the 7th as election days.
Cette décision est grave, lourde, mais c'est avant tout un acte de confiance. Confiance en vous, mes chers compatriotes, en la capacité du peuple français à faire le choix le plus juste pour lui-même et pour les générations futures.
Speaking to her supporters, National Rally Party leader Marine Le Pen said she welcomed Macron's decision, saying her party represented the major force for change in France.
Répondant à l'appel de Jordan Bardella, vient d'annoncer défendre les intérêts des Français, prêt à mettre fin à cette immigration de masse, prêt à faire du pouvoir d'achat des Français une priorité, prêt à entamer la réindustrialisation du pays. En clair, nous sommes prêts à redresser le pays, prêts à faire revivre la France.
The National Rally finished first with 31.7% of the vote, the first French party to receive more than 30% of votes in European elections since 1984. Trailing far behind in second place was Macron's Renaissance Party, finishing at over 14%. The Socialists rounded out the top three at exactly 14%.
French President Emmanuel Macron's announcement that he will be dissolving the National Assembly after his party suffered crushing defeat at the hands of the French far-right National Rally sent shockwaves throughout France and across the EU bloc. Now the French president will have about 20 days to come up with a plan to try and win the majority seats in French Parliament in these next upcoming legislative elections that will be held on the 30th of June and the 7th of July.
Italian citizen Ilaria Salis will be released from detention in Hungary thanks to her election as an MEP. The 40-year-old teacher spent 15 months in jail after being accused of assaulting far-right demonstrators in Hungary. She's facing up to 20 years behind bars. However, she always maintained her innocency. The case made the headlines after the woman appeared in court handcuffed and chained. Following a public outcry, Rome summoned the Hungarian ambassador and eventually obtained Salis be moved to house arrest. The woman has been elected with the Green and Left Alliance party and will be able to be released thanks to MEP immunity.
Neste palco, aqui atrás de mim, o primeiro-ministro Luís Montenegro e o cabeça de lista Sebastião Bugalho reconheceram que a coligação atualmente no governo em Portugal, a coligação de centro-direita AD, falhou o objetivo de ter mais votos do que o Partido Socialista, liderado nestas eleições europeias pela antiga ministra da Saúde, Marta Temido. O PS teve uma vitória apenas relativa, com mais um eurodeputado do que a AD. De realçar também a entrada, pela primeira vez na história, da extrema-direita portuguesa no Parlamento Europeu. No entanto, para o partido Chega, esta foi um resultado também aquém das expectativas, com apenas 2 eurodeputados eleitos. Os liberais também entram pela primeira vez no Parlamento Europeu, os liberais portugueses, com a iniciativa liberal a eleger 2 eurodeputados. Ricardo Figueira, Euronews, Lisboa.
Van de resultaten.
Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo has suffered a crushing defeat in the country's general elections, with his liberal Open VLD party managing less than 7% of the vote.
Wij liberalen, wij zijn strijdvaardig. En we zijn weerbaar. En ik ben ervan overtuigd, wij zullen er opnieuw staan. Ik heb de voorbije weken ongelooflijk veel jong talent gezien. En ik ben op dat gebied bijzonder hoopvol.
Despite polls predicting that the far-right anti-immigration Vlaams Belang party would become the main political force, the right-wing nationalist New Flemish Alliance retained first place with an expected 22%. Vlaams Belang came in second, taking 17.5% of the vote.
But it's important nowadays to give Flanders a different direction. Belgium is the past, Flanders is the future. The Flemish people need a new government which is Flemish and is right-wing.
Sunday's results will result in complex negotiations to form coalitions in a country divided by language and deep regional identities. Vlaams Belang has so far been blocked from entering government as mainstream parties vow to exclude it from power under a cordon sanitaire doctrine. That refers to the protective barrier put in place to stop the spread of infectious diseases.
Benny Gantz, a centrist member of Israel's war cabinet, announced his resignation on Sunday.
לצערי,
נתניהו מונע מאיתנו להתקדם לניצחון האמיתי שהוא ההצדקה למחיר הכואב והמתמשך. לכן, אנחנו עוזבים היום את ממשלת החירום. בלב כבד, אך בלב שלם.
The move does not immediately pose a threat to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who still controls a majority coalition in parliament. The Israeli leader will become more reliant on his far-right allies. Gantz said that Netanyahu is making total victory impossible and that the government needs to put the return of hostages seized by Hamas above political survival. Gantz joined Netanyahu's government shortly after the Hamas attack in a show of unity.
Ukrainian forces on Sunday said they hit an ultra-modern Russian warplane stationed at an airbase nearly 600 kilometers from the front lines. An attack that potentially marks Ukraine's first known successful strike on an Su-57 fighter plane. The claims come after Western allies allowed Kiev to use their weapons for limited strikes inside Russia. Kiev's main military intelligence service shared satellite photos that showed the aftermath of the attack. Meanwhile, Ukrainian attacks have left at least 28 people dead, according to Russia-installed officials in the partially occupied Ukrainian regions of Kherson and Luhansk, as Russia and Ukraine continue to exchange drone attacks overnight into Saturday. With no comment yet on the reports of its Su-57 fighter being hit, Moscow claims its forces downed 3 Ukrainian drones in the Astrakhan region.